Hey everybody, welcome to another video, and today we're going to talk about this jump action I created in my game. So we're going to go through it step by step, and hopefully by the end you understand every part and how to implement it in your own project. So let's go ahead and get started. This is what's going to be used in a method we'll talk about later, and player logic is where all our rigid body, capsule colliders, and player controller script are. So let's jump over to the script. So in the script, you're going to want to reference those components we just talked about, player input, rigid body, and capsule collider, so that we can interact with those. We'll also want to create these jump variables to be used in our methods down below. We're serializing them so that we can modify them to our desire, right, when we're in the game time. So we have isGrounded, jump height, gravity multiplier, and our ground check. The ground check is where we will assign this ground check. So let's go over there real quick. So in our player logic, we have this ground check game object assigned to the ground check serialized field. Next, let's go over to the awake function. The awake function is what we're going to use to initialize rigid body and the colliders. We've also enabled our jump action on our player on land action map, and we're subscribing it to this on jump performed method. And if we want to disable this action, we've added this statement here to unsubscribe from the on jump performed method. So real quick, if you don't really understand these statements, player input is the name of the variable that you're taking in all this player input action stuff from, right? So we're taking everything in this player input actions, which is the name of my player input actions. Up here, you can see that. And we're assigning it to a variable called player input. And we're doing that as soon as the game starts, right? As soon as the script is read. So now we do our variable player input, put a period, player on land. That is the name of our action map. And now we kind of just want to read left to right. So we put another period to go even further and say, hey, now we want the jump action. And now let's go another step forward. When we do the jump action, we'll do the performed. Like we want the performed. And if you did a debug on this, you would see that this action was started, it was performed, and it was cancel. In this case, for the jump, we just want it when it's performed because it's a button, right? All right, so let's go ahead and go to our on jump method or on jump perform. And in here, whenever the player hits the space key, it's going to run this code below. It's going to add a force to the player. And that force is comprised of a vector3.up times by the jump height. And then we're doing a force mode dot impulse. And if you hover over impulse, we're adding an instant force impulse to the rigid body using its mass. And then we have a little debug log to let you know, hey, jump is performed. So time to talk about this isGrounded because that is like the meat of this video. I'm excited for this part. All right, so in our isGrounded method, we have two local variables. We have extra bottom capsule height. That's what you see right down here, the extra bottom capsule height. If we did not have that, this way would probably return true because it hits the collider of the capsule. We also have ground radius, which is needed because when the player is on the side of an object that they're still standing on, you'll want this radius to let you know that the player is still standing on an object even though the center is not directly on top of the object. So hopefully that makes sense. We're using this ground radius so that we can put an imaginary radius down here to say, hey, we're standing on an object still. So we can still jump. So if we want to test this a little bit, as you see, we can still jump here and it turns red when we can't. And then if we go a little bit off the box, you'll see it starts to turn red where it's like, oh, right, this player's no longer on a box. Okay, then we're going to make a raycast hit, which is a structure used to get information back from a raycast, basically a laser that you're shooting at something. Then raycast hit is the local variable that we're storing the information about the spear cast hits. Now we're going to do a bool is hit equals physics.spearcast. And in this spearcast, there's some things that we're going to need to create, such as a capsule collider.bounds.center, which is the starting point, center of the collider. As you can see right there, it starts in the center. We'll want to put in the ground radius, which is what we've created earlier. We want the direction of the raycast to go down, so we'll do vector3.down. And then now we want to store the output of this hit info into our raycast hit variable. Now to make the check distance, we have capsule collider.bounds.extents.y plus this extra bottom capsule height. That way we can get this sweet little line at the bottom. All right, and now for debugging purposes, we have color, ray color, that's just another local variable. And think about this as a shortened if statement. So if you're not sure what this means, we'll break it down here right now. So is hit is a variable, and if it's true, then the color is green. If is hit is false, then the color is red. This little colon here is an else if it were a fully expanded out if statement. So if is hit is true, color is green, else color is red. So right now the color is green, so that means the player can jump. And if we go into our game view and hit space, all right, perfect, we can jump. So we can get this beautiful little green arrow or raycast. We just draw it with the debug message. So we do debug.drawRay to get this awesome little line. We do capsule collider.bounds.center, the center of the box. We want the ray to go down, so we'll do vector3.down, and we'll multiply it. This is just to get the length. So capsule collider.bounds.extents.y, and we get the extra capsule height to get that little nub at the bottom. Then for the ray color, we're getting that information from above, right? Ray color is either going to be green or red. In the 1F, what this means is it's going to show it for 1 second. We could change that. We could change it to 5 seconds, 10 seconds, however long you want, but 1 second's usually good enough. So after all of this code here, at the end, we're going to be returning true or false. If the player is on the ground, it'll return true. And if the player is in the air, it's going to return false. So now that we talked about our methods that we use to jump, there's a few more things we need to look at. So we need to update our isGrounded variable every frame to determine if this comes back true or false, because that is what's being used in our if statement on our onJump performed. And if you want to go the extra mile, I do have another method that I'm using to apply extra gravity. So if isGrounded is not true, then we're going to do this code. So vector3 extra gravity is equal to the physics.gravity times the gravity multiplier minus 1F. And then we do the add force so that we can apply it to our game object while it's in the air. And we can basically just increase the acceleration as it falls down. Let's go over to our fix update to see that in action. And there you go. Apply extra gravity being applied in the fix update. So, okay, well, that was probably a lot to take in, but if you want to use this code, maybe play around with it a bit. I did upload it to my GitHub, so feel free to just go into this simple jump action, new input system. If you're starting from scratch, copy, even paste all of this and paste it into your own script file, or just download it right here. If you're still having some issues, go ahead and read this README file, because in here I show you what you need to do to make sure it's working, and I also include some pictures to make sure you got everything right. Link will be in the description. If you have any other questions or just need help with something, feel free to let me know down in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you guys all have a great weekend. See ya.